Couple more joining and we'll get started. Give one more minute. Okay, let's get started. What I'd like to do is just keep building off of what we did last week, and maybe go inside the building now and start modeling some interiors. So a couple things with this, you're going to find out pretty quickly that in Revit you're going to use dimensions as a guide, right? Dimensions serve two purposes. Obviously, the first and foremost purpose is to show people how to build something, right? You couldn't build this without knowing what the length of this wall is, right? Or the radius of this arced wall, or the size of these panels. This is information that people need to know. Also in Revit, you'll find that dimensions drive the model, because if you remember last week when we changed this parapet level, it moved the model, right? So what I want to do is now start placing interior partitions, and we will start using dimensions to get control of our model. So you'll learn in Revit that the input initially can seem kind of imprecise and sloppy, but you'll see that we'll gain control over our model by using dimensions. So let's get started. You're in Revit. Hopefully you have your class model open. I don't know what view you're in. I was messing around, so you might not be in the south elevation like I am, but that doesn't matter because we're all going to go to the same elevation right now, or the same plan anyway. So in the project browser, under floor plans, the question is from Andrew, does the work we do in class count for homework that week? It doesn't, right? So in like 2 weeks, I'll have you hand in a model just to make sure you're on track, but I'm not grading you on this, what we're doing here, right? So that being said, if you remember, as I mentioned a couple of times, and I'll keep mentioning it more and more as we progress, but you're going to be responsible for your own model, right? Applying what you've learned here. And as we build more stuff, I'll start to mention that more. But as we do go through the building model here, I'm going to tell you exactly what's important to me and what's not that important to me. right? So for example, I've had the question, someone's asked, hey, if I model my house and someone models, Slocum Hall, are they automatically going to get a better grade than me? The answer to that question is no, right? And I'm going to go through, as we're going through, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is that I'm very interested in. I'm a builder by trade, and when you get out of school into design, your chief concern is going to be how someone going to build your building, right? That's what I'm concerned with. So that being said, if you want to do like Slocum Hall or something, please do. That would be great, and I appreciate the effort. But there's certain things that I look for in terms of buildability, dimensions, views, that I lean towards. Sorry, that was an easy question, and I just kept rambling on it. But so as we go through, I'll tell you what's important. But this model here is not your homework. I'm going to have you hand something in a couple weeks just to make sure you've got something, but it's not going to be for a grade. I just want to make sure no one's falling behind because I can't see you and it's tough. So, and we have 13 attendees on here out of 55 students. So there'll be a couple that I'll be acutely interested. Hopefully that they have followed along to some degree because it would be tough. So in the project browser, under floor plans, let's go down to level 1. Just double click on that. Now, what I'd like to do is I want to draw a long demising wall along here, right? There we're going to have 5 different vertical partitions here, okay? So to do that, on the architecture tab, the wall button, now for the wall that I want, click the drop down here. Mine says curtain wall because again, I was messing around. I don't know if yours says that or not. But I want to hit the drop down here, and I want to find an interior 6 1/8 inch partition 2 hour, right? Can anyone tell me what 2 hour means?
The fire rating.
That's correct, Jacob. It is the fire rating. Good call. So theoretically, it takes 2 hours for this wall to be compromised to where fire will breach it. Okay. So we started our wall, basic wall, interior 6 1 inch partition with a 2 hour fire rating. Okay. I don't care about the height. We'll deal with that later. But the location line I do care about. I don't want it to be wall center line. Interior is not as important as exterior. I was very adamant about holding that outside dimension. But that location line, I want that to be finish face interior. Now, if we zoom into this area, and remember, if you hold down your wheel button, you can pan around. If you wheel in and out, you zoom in and out. So I'm going to zoom into this area right here and hit that endpoint, just like that. We're going to pick that endpoint, just like that. And I immediately can see that our wall is kind of in the wrong orientation, right? So if you move your cursor over to the left just a little bit and then hit your space bar, in Revit, this is how we flip stuff. Right? So remember that, like if you're inserting furniture or some other element and it's in the wrong orientation, you can hit your space bar and it's going to flip the orientation. Okay, so I want to flip that so it's up into the wall like that, right? And now what I want to do is I want to pan all the way down to the other side, zoom into here, and I'm going to just click on this point right here and hit that wall, and I'm going to hit escape a couple times. For chat. Did anyone not get that? Good. Yep. Where I clipped it to, yes. So with the wall here, it's funny. I keep thinking that no, you're fine. Yep, I'll repeat it. I keep thinking that my Zoom window is my actual window. So I'm gonna do it again. If you got it, just good. You can just hang out. So on the architecture tab, I'm gonna click the wall button right here. The properties, I can choose the wall system that I want. So I'm going to click the drop down here, and I'm going to scroll up until I find interior 6 1/8 inch partition, and we discussed that that's a 2-hour fire rating. Grab that. Now in my properties, I don't care about the height, but I do care about the location line. So let's make sure that that's set for finish face interior. Now we're going to scroll into here, and I want to hover over this endpoint of this wall, and I'll scroll out just so if I'm in this area here, right? So I'm going to scroll into here. I'm going to click on the endpoint, and in Revit, it's always good to just kind of hover and pause for a second. Let it kind of show you what it's picking up on. And once you see that endpoint, we're going to go ahead and just pick that. But now if we move it to the left, what we'll see is it's in the wrong orientation. So this is where if you hit the space bar, it's going to flip that into the correct orientation for you. So I want to flip it up like that. Now I'm going to come all the way down, 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 down. I'm going to zoom into here, and notice that I'm just going to put it in the wall somewhere. Don't put it past it because it'll just be sticking out the back of the wall. But if you like pick the inside face, or I like to just pick the core center of the wall, pick that point, and then if you hit escape a couple of times, it should join together. Then if I zoom out, did you get it? Let's see here. Sweet. No problem. All right, hit the save button just because it's what smart people do. Okay. Now, I want to zoom back into this area here. Okay. I want another one of these 2-hour rated walls because it makes sense that the walls in between here are going to be the same fire rating. So I'm going to right click on this wall, right? Just right click right over the top of it. And then I want to go up to create similar here. Perfect. Now on the, so on the options bar, you see your chain is probably turned on. I'm going to uncheck chain right here. Let's uncheck that. If you don't, it's not crucial, but it's just easier to draw separate line segments, right? I'm going to draw a wall. You can either zoom in, you can generally get it from out here, but it's always good practice to kind of zoom in with Revit. I'm going to pick a point along this wall. Now I'm going to pick a point along this wall in it somewhere like that. Hit escape once. Notice that you've got a wall there, okay? On your own, draw 4 more. Don't even bother trying to get them to be evenly spaced because it ain't going to happen. If it is, you get an automatic A in class. You'll have no way of proving it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put in 1 more. Make sure they're straight. 5, just like that. You see how horribly uneven mine are. We're going to fix that. I'll give it a couple of seconds to make sure everyone's got it. Anyone need me to repeat that? Excellent, excellent. Okay. Now, here's an illustration of using dimensions. Okay, I'm going to do it first, and then we're going to do it together. Okay. So in this case, I want these walls to be dimensioned at least, right? So I'm going to go to my annotate tab. And again, I'll just do this on my own, and then we're going to do it together, right? I'm going to go to annotate, and I want to go to align to dimension. I want to pick center of core, and you'll see why. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pick the core line of this. I'm going to pick that. I want to come down to this wall, to this wall. See how I'm picking up the center line of those walls? This wall, and they're wacky, wacky, wacky dimensions. That wall, that wall, that wall. I'm going to pick a spot just like this. I'm just going to kind of pick a spot off into nowhere, just like that. Okay, let's all do that together now. I'm going to delete one I've got there. Okay, now let's all do it together. Let's go to the Annotate tab. Go to Aligned Dimension. By the way, notice that it lights up the dimension here. It's the same thing. So from this point on, we'll probably just use the dimension on the quick access toolbar. It's so very popular. Okay, now we can control where this is going to dimension to. So in this case, I want to go to center of core, because this is what we're going to base our dimensions off of, okay? So let's go center of core. I want to zoom into this wall, and notice if we hover over that wall, it doesn't go to the center of the wall, but it goes to the center of that inside partition, which is part of that wall, and we'll examine that thoroughly later. But I'm just going to pick this line right here. So right when you hover over it, you'll see that it's going to pick that up. So we're going to pick that. Now, don't hit escape or anything. We're just going to move our cursor down. All right, we're going to click the center line of that wall. I'm going to pick the center line of that wall. Center line to center line, center line, and then we're going to hit the center line of that core. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Notice that I'm constantly panning and zooming around. That's just part of Revit where you just got to get kind of used to that. So I'm just going to move my cursor up till it's outside of the building, right? And I'm going to pick a point just off of this dimension string, like right about here. Then I'm going to hit escape a few times. I'll give you a second. So I'll do it again real quick too, just in case. All right, I'm going to go to aligned, center of core. I'm going to go pick, 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 pick. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. Anyone not get it? Okay, now what I'd like to do is go ahead and select that dimension string. Notice it's all one object, right? It's all one object. Notice there's a little EQ icon in the middle. If we click on that EQ button, what that's going to do, that's going to equally constrain all of our rooms, right? So they're going to be equally dimensioned throughout. Any questions or comments? Now what's going to happen is this. Don't do this, but I'll just show you as an illustration. Like if I was to move this wall, notice that they remain equally constrained, which is actually not a good thing. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to be putting doors in these corners. And if we move that, these walls are going to breach into our door. So the question was, how were they equally spaced? By the dimension, right? So we selected that dimension and we clicked on the EQ button. And what that did was that equally spaced them, right? So if I go like that, notice that they're all wonky, no good. So because of the fact that we're dimensioned to those walls, our dimension now is going to control where that wall gets placed, right? So if I select this dimension string, I say I want these walls to be equally spaced, that dimension is going to move that wall into position. Did I answer your question, hopefully? Good.
I have a question. Is it possible to see like what the dimension of that? Because it says EQ, but like, is it 5 feet, 10 feet? You know,
That's
like, is it possible to see?
Absolutely, yeah. So go ahead and select the dimension string again. Now remember, everything's got properties, right? So we select that dimension. We're going to come right over here, right? So equality display instead of equality text. We'll click the drop down and we'll go value. Click apply. And it's, yeah, and we'll look at formatting dimensions. 1730 seconds is a little annoying if you're, stretching a tape measure, you're going to get a hammer thrown at you when you go out to the job site. But it's equal, so that's a good question. And yep. So if I select this again, I can just go back to equality display and go equality text and just switch it right back. To be honest, in a situation like this, I like to, well, I'll show you what I like to do. So here's the thing. With this dimension string, we don't want this here because, like I said, I moved that wall and every wall inside of it moved. Can you imagine if you've got a huge building and if someone's moving a wall that you care nothing about, all of a sudden it's moving your walls, like in a lavatory or something like that? We don't want that constraint to occur. So we want to just use this dimension as a way to equally constrain these walls. So if I select this dimension string, I want to just hit delete. I want to delete it. I want it gone. So select the dimension string and hit delete. But what's going to happen is we're going to see that we get a warning, right? A dimension that has an equal constraint is being deleted, but the element will still be constrained, which is worse because now we have no idea because there's no dimension here. Right now, these walls are just magically moving around. We do not want that. So we're going to click unconstrain right here. Unconstrain. Everyone get that? Okay. Now, there's a couple of ways we could dimension these. Hopefully, they are going to come out even. But like, if you go ahead and click aligned dimension again. Now, instead of center of core, let's go to wall faces. Instead of picking individual references, let's select an entire wall. So let's go entire walls. Okay. Now let's go to options right here. I want to grab intersecting walls. You can probably guess what I'm going to do here. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm just going to pick this wall and place a spot right here. Yeah, so the middle one was a little bit off just because of the thickness of this wall. I don't think you can equally space those either anymore. Yeah, so we can dimension these like that. Now if we click aligned again, instead of entire walls, I just want to pick individual references again. Right, now we're just going to come in here and I want to pick the outside face of this wall. It's kind of hard to see. Right, now I'm going to move my cursor all the way down to the end. I want to pick the outside face of this wall. And notice it will kind of snap just above those dimensions. Pick that point just like that. Right. However you want to do it. These walls, I mean, they're basically equal. So that being said, I'm more interested in this, dimensioning your building, than I am in almost anything else. Okay, dimensions to me are important. Okay. So to keep practicing dimensions, so you want me to do that once more? Okay. So I'm going to delete what I've got there. If you got it, you can just hang out for a second. So I'm going to go to aligned dimension. I want to switch over to wall faces. I want to pick entire walls. Right? Now for my options, I want to go into options. I'm going to make sure I have intersecting walls turned on. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to select this, just this wall. All we need to do is select that wall. It's going to dimension everything. I'm going to hit escape a couple of times. Now it's a little trickier now to dimension just piece by piece. So if I go back to my aligned dimension, if I zoom in close, I'm going to pick this thick outside face right here. I'm going to pick that. Whoops. Okay, wait 1 second. Sorry, hit escape. Instead of wall faces, let's go now. Yeah, wall faces is fine, but let's pick individual references. I'm sorry. Kind of screwed you up there. Now we're going to pick this thick line here, and we're going to come all the way down to the other end. We're going to zoom into here, and we're going to pick this thick line here. Right? We're going to move our cursor up. We're going to pick that point right there. You are welcome. Now, let's all do this. I'm going to hit escape a couple of times just so we're all on the same page. Click aligned again, aligned dimension. Let's make sure we're on all faces. Pick individual references. Now I'm going to pick this wall here. I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. Pick my outside wall here. I'm going to pick a point like right about here. Okay, that's critical. You need to know that number, right? It's completely useless if you give someone a set of drawings without that. It means nothing to anybody. Now, of course, we want to dimension the inside face of this wall, so I'm going to go aligned, inside face to inside face, right? You can see you can really get carried away with this stuff. I know I'm going a little fast, but when you get an outline drawn, it's always a good idea to just start adding some dimensions just as a matter of your process, right? For one thing, that's what I grade on. The second thing, right now, we don't have much model, right? We got an exterior shell, we've got some interior partitions. If you all of a sudden figure out that, God, this is not 80 feet, now is the time to discover that, right? Not when you've got the entire thing modeled and you're ready to submit it, right? But again, if you have an outside dimension that's not an even number, I'm not gonna turn your screws on that. I don't care, as long as there's a number there. I don't care what it is, right? Now I'm gonna come over here. I'm going to go to aligned. And I'm gonna pick right here, 16 feet. It's no real great spot to put that. I'll kind of put it out here. And of course, if I pick this outside face here, and this one's a little trickier because we got to pick the end of that wall. It doesn't look like we're getting anything, but if you just hover over this and pick it, it'll find it. It'll get it. 16 feet there. Hit escape a couple times. Anyone lost? Anyone behind? These are important to have. Okay. Okay. Hit save just because it's a good idea. Are there any questions? So like I said, I know I'm being redundant, but the building you build on your own, just as you go through, start dimensioning it and all that, okay? And that's going to be what I really want to see a lot of. Okay. Now let's pop some doors in. So I'm going to zoom into this area here. Right. Now I want to put a door here. Okay. So I want to go to the architecture tab. Notice that we have the door icon right here. Door. Like that. Okay, single flush 36 by 84 inches. So what does that even mean? So single flush is what the family is called, and that's what this is called. It's a block in AutoCAD. It's called a family in Revit. So if we click the drop down here, just like the wall, we can select different types, okay? This single flush has several different types. The type I want to grab is the 36 by 84, okay? So let's grab 36 by 84 inches. Now, up here, make sure tag on placement is checked on. So you'll see that little blue square. So that means tag on placement's checked on. So in Revit, dimensions are important, but also annotations in terms of, okay, this door is number 101, right? You need to have that kind of annotation in a model or in any set of drawings. So notice now, though, that if I come into here, I can't just place this anywhere, right? It has to be in a wall. But the problem is I don't like how it's dimensioning it. You see those temporary little dimensions? I don't really care for how it's dimensioning that door. Okay. So let's do this. Let's hit escape a couple times. Escape a couple times. Now, I want to go to the Manage tab. I want to go to Additional Settings. And I want to scroll down until I find Temporary Dimensions. And I'm bringing it down this road just because this is an important part of Revit, how we place items. So let's go to Temporary Dimensions. Now my temporary dimensions for my walls, in this case now, I want these to go to faces. I want to start dimensioning off the finished face. So if someone's going to install a door, these walls are completed, right? If someone's laying out the partitions, these walls are not completed. They don't have gypsum on them yet, right? So for the person installing the door, they're going to want this from the face, the finished face of the wall to the opening of that door. So that's how they're going to want those dimensions, okay? I know I'm being very specific, but this is how it is. This is how people build things, and these are very standard procedures. You know, when you're putting out construction documents, which you will all be doing. So click OK here. All right, now let's go back to the Architecture tab. Now let's go to Door. Now notice once I bring this over this wall, yeah, see, that's a little better. So here's what I want to do. Let's make it so that temporary dimension is 2 feet. So which way should this go? Like that? No. Like that? Yeah. Yes, that's how it should go. It swings into the partition. Let's put it at 1'6". Would I say 2 feet? Either 2 feet or 1'6". I don't care. We're going to move it anyway. So go ahead and just pick a spot on that wall. Now hit escape a couple times. Got a door there. It's number 1. Is anyone behind? No, it's tough when I can't see anybody.
Question, how did you tag the door?
Okay, yeah, so it's easily missed. So like if I go to my door, make sure tag on placement right here is selected. It should be blue. But if you didn't get that, right? So if you didn't get it tagged, what we can do is if you hit escape a couple times, you can click on this little button right here, the tag by category, right here. Then I'm going to just uncheck leader. I'm going to come back in and tag it. just by selecting door and picking it. Did that help?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, now let's get into the components, right? So this is a door, as we all know. It's door number 1. This is just a tag, as we just saw. Didn't matter if the tag was there or not, right? It was still door number 1 regardless if there's a tag on it or not. So if you hit escape a couple times and select the door, just select it by the swing, notice a few things happen. First thing that happens is we get more temporary dimensions, and they're constrained to where we want them to be, right? So what's going to happen is, say for example, we want this door to be 1 foot off the inside face, right? If we select the door, Revit will display this dimension. This dimension can be edited. So go ahead and select this 2-foot dimension, type in a 1 and hit enter, and that door is going to move over to 1 foot, right? Because we selected the door, it knew to move it. If we had selected the wall and did that, it would have moved the wall. We don't want to do that. We want to move the door, right? Everyone get that? Okay. So let's go ahead and select the door. Now let's get into the properties. Again, like I said last week, if you select any item in Revit and the properties that come up here immediately are called instance parameters, right? They're unique only to that item you have selected. Right? So if we scroll down to identity data, notice the mark is the same as the tag, right? This is the number. This is where that data is stored. That's that unique identifier. So if we click into mark and just type in 101 and hit enter, right, that's going to be door 101. Okay. It works both ways too, because you don't have to do this. But if I select the tag, notice I can change the tag, you know, to whatever. Gurky. Right? We don't want that. We want it 101. Did anyone not get that? Now, to take it beyond that, right? So when we select this door, the mark is 101, right? We can phasing, that's for the advanced class, but like if it was going to be demolished or something like that, it's only going to be specific to that door, right? But if we click edit type right here, edit type, now let's see all of these properties. All of these properties are going to edit every single flush 36 by 84, and notice the dimensions, right? We've got height and width, 7 feet, 3 feet, right? 36 by 84. This is where this comes from, right? So I know there's a lot. I'm throwing a lot at you. That's why I don't make these classes go brutally long, because I just want you to pick up on these little things, especially the stuff we learn in the first like month. I think is the most important stuff in terms of how Revit goes. And then you're going to learn on your own, obviously, once you start modeling something that's familiar to you, or you know what you want to see. You know, there's a lot of learning just in that, because right now you don't know what you don't know, right? So I'm going to click OK. And we're going to hit save, because that's what the cool kids do all the time. They hit save like that. Everyone cool?
Yeah, under edit type, what is, there's another mark there that says 1. What is that for?
That's a good question. Okay, so we're going to have a type mark too. Is that the one you mean? This one here?
Yeah.
Yes. So when we do windows, that will be, that'll be a little more apparent what that is. So for doors, right, every door is unique. Every single door is unique. So the next door needs to be 102. Even if they're exactly the same door, the room they're entering is a different number, right? So 101, even though it's going to be unique, that room is 101. So that's going to change that door, which means that we only want that property to be an instance parameter. When we add a window, though, right, if we add a window, those windows are identical, and who cares what room you're looking at it from? all those windows are going to have a type mark because they're going to be 1, you know, number 1, or however you label them, if that makes sense or not. Does that make sense?
So when you tag it, all of them would say 1 instead of having their own unique number?
Exactly, exactly. So for example, let's go ahead and select this door. And I want to make multiple copies of that door all the way down here. So we're going to have a door that goes into every one of these rooms, right? So I'm going to select this door. And I'm going to click the copy button right here. It's not like Control C. It's not the clipboard. It's just physically we're going to make a copy of this door. So if you go ahead and click on copy. Now constraint should be turned on. That's like the ortho in Revit, or I'm sorry, the ortho in like AutoCAD. But let's make sure multiple is also clicked on. Multiple. Now what we can do is we need to pick a base point of displacement. So a common point, which we know is going to be this endpoint right here, right? So let's go ahead and pick this endpoint right here. Now we're going to keep going down, and we're going to pick this point here. See how it's adding them? I know that they're not tagged, but I'm going to show you that in a second. Pick this one here. Pick this one here. Pick this one here. And then we're going to pick this one here. Skip a couple times. I'll wait, pause for a second to make sure everyone's caught up. They look like little sharks swimming. I forget I'm recording these, so I shouldn't act like a dork. I can't help it. Anyone not get those doors in there copied? Yeah, I can repeat it. So I'm just going to undo the copy. Copy, copy, copy. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select this door. And I am going to click on the copy button right here. So remember, in Revit, we want to select the item first. And if we're going to modify it, we're going to click the copy button here. I selected the door, I click copy. I'm going to make sure multiple is turned on. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to pick a point right here on the end point of this wall. Now I'm going to come down to here. I'm going to pick the end point of this wall. I'm going to pick the end point of this wall. See what I'm doing? So these are all going to be a foot. End point, end point, to end point. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. You get it? Hopefully. Get a lot. Oh, wow. Is everyone good?
I think
Not
she's
good?
having problems with her Blackboard right now with the collab.
Oh, yeah, because it said, can you repeat that, please? Quite a few.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she's got connection problems. I hate that. Let's see what she's got. I can actually look and see. Andrea. Right now, it's excellent. Let's see. That was Andrea. I think she's back in. Wait, I think she left. Well, luckily we're recording it. Yeah, she's gone. That's unfortunate. Well, maybe she'll log back in. Yeah, she's gone. I hate that. So, okay, if you got it, luckily we're recording it. So the deal is these doors are unique, right? So let's do this. Let's go to the Annotate tab. Well, before we do that, just pick any one of these doors randomly. Just pick that one. Notice the mark is 104. So it sequentially numbered them as we copied them down. It's nice when it does it. A lot of times it will screw the numbering up. You have to manually number them, but they're unique, right? So if we go to annotate, if we go to tag all, Andrea's back. Click tag all. Oh, we saw that. Yeah, sorry. We'll get you caught up though. I want to click on door tags. Then I want to click OK. It's going to tag all those doors, right? That's the difference between, right? So we select that door. That is a mark. The type mark, I don't care what it is because that tag's not reading that variable. So Andrew, where did you leave off with?
I got all the doors in.
Oh, perfect. So what you want to do is you want to go to the annotate tab.
Okay.
So I see, okay, so if you didn't get your doors to tag, let's go to annotate. Let's go to tag all. So it's tag all, not tagged. And make sure that you clicked on door tags. I might have done that a little quick, a little too quick. So click on door tags and click apply and click OK. Did everyone get that? Okay, now let's see if we can tag a wall. I want to see what you guys have. Okay, so what I want to do now is, good. I want to tag a wall because you need to tag walls and tell them exactly. Yeah, so if you have a door selected, and then you go to annotate, tag all, you need to uncheck this. Only selected objects in current view. When I'm doing structural framing, I do that a lot. I don't want to tag every single beam in an entire model. I just want to tag a group of them. I'll select them, but generally, yeah, you toggle all objects in current view. That's a good observation. But what I want to do now is I want to tag a wall here. So let's click on our little tag by category button right here, or we could go to the annotate tab and click tag by category here. Okay. Now make sure leader is checked. Turn on leader. I'm just going to tag this wall right here. And it gives me a little question mark. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. Let's do the same thing to the exterior wall. I'm going to click on tag by category. I'm going to grab my exterior wall. And these are both blank, right? Now, we know that all of these exterior walls are the same wall, right? They're the same wall type. We know these interior walls are all the same wall type. This is where we're going to add a type mark, right? So now go ahead and select the interior partition. Click Edit Type. Now let's scroll down to the very bottom until we find Type Mark. We're going to call that, we'll call it AA. Or some people will call it 2 hour. It doesn't matter. Click Apply, click OK. And for the exterior wall, select this one. Let's click Edit Type. And we're going to scroll down till we find Type Mark. We're going to call this BB. These are not common. Yeah, depends on the project, I guess. Click apply, click OK. Now what we'll see is, okay, so we've got these two walls tagged, right? Now let's go back to tag by category. Now notice that if I tag this wall here, it's the right tag. If I tag this wall here, it's the right tag, because we know that these walls are all that type. Does that make a little more sense now? Hopefully.
Yeah. If you edit types, does it only affect your project or does it affect like all other files in Revit?
No. It's just this project, right? So a lot of times, what we're doing now for, so we do a lot of healthcare projects, right? So SUNY Upstate Medical University has a very specific wall numbering, wall marking based on fire rating, and now of course with COVID, based on airflow. So we have to tag those walls very specifically for our healthcare clients. Our aviation clients couldn't care less, right? So depending on the project, you're going to tag your walls different. But no, it does not affect anything other than this project you're in. So that's a good question. Okay, it's good. This is good. Hit save just because it's a good idea. I keep thinking that stupid WebEx is the right. Okay. All right. So what time we got? 7:22. This class starts at 6:30. A couple more things, because I know we covered a lot here. Okay. But again, looking at this, look at all the descriptive items we have in here. Right? These people need to have that to build something. Okay. One other thing too is this door. We didn't tell them the distance from the door to the wall, right? So let's add a dimension here. Now let's go to align dimension. I want to pick the inside face of this wall. Now I want to pick, again, it doesn't seem like we're going to pick anything, but we are. So go ahead and pick this point right here. We're going to move our cursor down, and we have our 1 foot dimension. We're going to pick a spot like right about here. Then hit escape a couple times. $14 out of 55 joined. I know it's so tough to do this. Thank God we're recording it. Okay. Did anyone not get that dimension in there? So here's the thing. We know that all of these are 1 foot. Suppose this is a high-rise building and we want this to be the deal, right? We want that to be typical. We can add that kind of comment to our dimension. What I want to do though is go ahead and select this 1 foot dimension, and notice all these little grips light up. This is kind of sloppy. I don't like text that's overwriting the lines. But notice right on the end of that tick mark is hidden a little tiny grip. So if we pick on that little tiny grip, we can pull that down and we can drag it out like that, right? It just looks nicer. It just looks nicer. But like I said before, anything that turns blue can be edited. So if you go ahead and select that dimension, select that 1 foot dimension, just select it. And you're going to get this dialog that shows up, right? If you try to replace it with text, like you click replace with text, you type in 1 foot dash 6 inches. And if you click apply, Revit's not going to let you do that, right? It cannot be inaccurate. Remember, we need to select the door if we want to alter that increment. Because right now, if we change that dimension, it doesn't know to move the wall or to move the door or to move them equally. It has no idea, right? But in this case, I do want to use the actual value. So click on, we'll click close here. Go use actual value. but I do want to add a suffix, right? In this case, I want it to be comma, all caps, TYP. Typical, right? So the value is 1 foot, and the suffix wants to be typical. Now if we click apply, click OK, right, we can move that over. Does that make sense? Now we don't have to dimension every single frickin' thing. But now if you select the door, look what happens. It turns small and blue. Now you could change that. You don't have to. I'll just do it just to illustrate it to you. And it changes it to another dimension. Does that make sense, I hope? Well, I guess no one's going to say yes all at once. By your silence, I assume that it makes sense. And again, I know I'm getting into the weeds with this. I promised I would. But this is important stuff. My use actual value says 0 foot 0. Yeah, I can repeat that. So not knowing how far, do you have a dimension in here already, Annalie, or?
Yes. Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I will just undo that. So I'm going to select my 1 foot dimension. I'm going to select my text. So I'm going to just pick on that little tiny hidden grip. I'm going to pull that down and out. Okay. Now I'll hit escape a couple of times. If I select it again, I'm going to select this dimension. I want to use the actual value. But I want my suffix right here. I'm going to type in comma, all caps, TYP. Well, undo even undoes my cap locks, huh? TYP, comma, TYP, and the suffix.
My use actual value says 0 there.
Your value says 0?
Yeah, in that menu, even though I have 1 feet prior to clicking it.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like, yeah, when I click that, it'll say use actual value 0 feet, 0 inches.
It says 0?
Yeah. Even though when I dimensioned it, it says
It shouldn't let
1.
you change it. Your door's a foot away?
Yep.
That's odd. I've never seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I would maybe just delete it and redimension it. I wonder why. Because it's hard to get that dimension to not, unless you replace it with text and you type in like, I think maybe you can. Yeah, I'm surprised you were able to do that. What if I type in ZERO? There we go. There we go. Is that what it's doing? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I would just delete it and put it back in. That's odd.
I'm gonna redimension it.
Yeah, yeah. You get the prize, Kevin. Okay, so what time is it? 7:29. Okay, we're doing well. Save. Go ahead and save. (6:30, 7:30). Okay. Now here's the tricky part. Oh, we need to put a door in and we need to put some windows in. We're not even close to ready to what I wanted to do. So, okay, we need to get it, find a way to get in and out of this building, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to go to the architecture tab and I want to go back to door. This is where I ran into trouble last night with some students don't have all the content loaded. But that's okay. If you don't have all your doors loaded, I'm gonna paste a link to where you can get them. But we'll see. Go ahead and click the door button right here on the architecture tab. I don't want any of these interior single flush doors, which by the way are not 2-hour rated. All right, so if you put a 10-minute rated door and a 2-hour rated wall, it kind of blows up the fire rating. So what I want to do is I want to go to load family. I want to load a family in. Okay. Now hopefully everyone has this directory. So go down to doors. Go to commercial. And I'm going to grab door exterior double. You can grab whatever one you want. Oh, there's a revolving door in there now. Whatever you want. Exterior double is what I'm going to grab. If we click open.
Hey, how'd you open the load thing? Sorry.
No, don't be. So we're going to go to architecture. We're going to go to door. Now I want to come over here to load family.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome. And we're going to go to doors. Uh-oh, you don't have them? All right.
Yeah, I don't
So
have
yeah, what I'll do is, if you don't have them, I'll just have you put in a regular single flush there for now, and we'll switch them out. So if you do have them, I'm going to grab doors. I'm going to grab commercial. I'm going to grab door exterior double. Yeah, installing Revit is an occupation alone for a person. Door exterior double. I'm going to click open. But what we're going to see is now, if you remember the single flush, there's a bunch of sizes here. We don't have to bring in every type of this door. We can bring in just the one we want. We've got, what, 16 feet to work with. So I'll grab 84 by 84. Again, if you don't have the door, just drop a single flush in there. 84 by 84. Click OK. That's an old door. Now, make sure tag on placement is turned on. And I want to, which way should we swing it? This way? Nope, it needs to swing out. Now, to get that centered, it can be a little bit difficult, but if you remember, if we type SM for snap mid, then if we pick a point, it's going to put that door in there. So sorry if you don't have that door, you can just go to door and grab the single flush 36 by 84 and put that in there instead. Oh, actually, look at that. It's kind of neat. Don't do that. Unless you don't have the big door. Did everyone get that? Did anyone not get it, I should say? Okay. Hit save. Okay. Now, and that's the only element we're going to browse for tonight. So I'll make sure that you have all of your content loaded. It goes to a weird specific spot too on your C drive, but I'll get you good. I'll get you straight up. All right, now let's pan down to here. So I want to put a window in this room here. Okay. On the architecture tab, click the window button. Now we're just going right down the road tonight. Nice. Put the window. I don't care what one we use. Let's grab the fixed. 36 by 48 is fine. Now you can start to see how families are and the types of families that you can get, right? So we're going to grab 36 by 48. Did I say 36 by 84? I meant to say 36 by 48. Okay. Let's make sure that tag on placement is selected. Now I want to position my window in the center of this room. We want the awning to face out, right? We don't want a ledge there for water leak situation or birds that are gonna, you know, befoul that ledge. But again, it's kind of tough to get it to snap to the center or to the mid. So if you type SM, it'll kind of nudge it to where we want it. And then we're gonna pick that spot and it's gonna tag it, right? Window number 1. Now, when we have a door schedule, each of those doors are going to have a unique row. When we have a window schedule, we're going to group those windows. They're window type 1. So we're telling Anderson or whoever that window manufacturer is like, yeah, make 500 of these windows. And we're just going to install them. I don't care what room they go into, right? They have nothing to do with the room. They're part of the exterior envelope. SM, put one there. Right, SM, gonna put one there. We're gonna keep going. And after I do this, I'll just, you know, I'll wait. And if we need to do it again, I will do it again. I'm like that. I'm cool like that. Oh, that's a Bambi. Once you got them in, click save. I need to come up with some kind of screen so I don't look like something just blew up in my face. So I have this big giant monitor. That just doesn't work for Zoom meetings. Who didn't get it? Anyone? There's no shame in it. This is going amazingly well. You guys are doing awesome. It's all going to be number 1. Yep, because these windows are not unique from one another. These are the same exact darn window, right? They're all number 1. So if I grab that window, I don't care what the mark is, right? Because this mark on this window will probably be number 2, see? But we're not tagging that. We're tagging the type mark. So if I select this window, and if I click Edit Type, every one of my 36 by 84 fixed window is identical. They're going to manufacture hundreds of these, and that type mark wants to be number 1, right? So if I was to change that to 1A, you don't have to do this if you're just following along. I'm going to click Apply. I'm going to click OK. And now they're all 1A, right? Just like the wall, sometimes we want every sometimes we want every one of these items to be the same mark. Sometimes we only want the individual element to be tagged in that manner. And that, if that makes sense. Right? Yeah, I can. So what's going to happen is, yep. So I want this window, right? Because we know that they're identical. So instead of 1, which is kind of a, you're not going to see a number 1 window, right? So I'm going to select this window, okay? And I don't care about the mark. I care about the type mark. So I'm going to click Edit Type. Now, this type mark here, if I scroll down till I find type mark, I can call this 1A right here. Or whatever you want to call it. 1/8 inch Pilkington single glazing, which you're not getting any lead points for these puppies. Single glazing. I don't even think they make a single glaze window anymore. Click Apply, click OK. And now these are all going to be 1A. Right? No matter if we have 1,000 of them in here, if you change one of these by clicking Edit Type, all 1,000 of those windows are going to update. Does that make sense? It's a weird concept. Okay. I'm going to hit Escape a couple times. I'm going to hit Save. There's a problem with these windows, though. So let's go to a 3D view. Remember how to do that? We click on this little 3D icon here. Uh-oh. I think my screen is frozen. Shit. It is. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
She's just heard me swear on a recorded. I think we might be, uh-oh. I think we might be done. Why is it frozen? Maybe if I refresh the Sorry about that, everyone.